Ironheart gets roasted, and well, right on cue, the liberal media out there does damage control for the show. Now, for this MCU disaster, Ironheart is already being defended before anyone actually watches it, and that's how far the MCU has fallen. And the media is out here claiming that Ironheart is being review bombed when the truth is, nobody asked for Ironheart in the first place. Nobody was hyped for Ironheart at all. And the MCU pushed it anyway, And instead of just simply focusing on quality, the MCU keeps shoving out shows like this and pretending the backlash is the audience's fault. Okay, now, if you're sick of the liberal media claiming shows like Ironheart of being, review bombed and calling us every Islamophobe in the book and actually enjoying watching them actually just cope and seethe, go ahead and smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. Now let's go ahead and get right into it. Now, the MCU gave us Ironheart in place of Tony Stark's legacy, okay? Now, instead of just simply building on years of earned character development, they threw in Riri Williams, slapped some tech on her, and called it progress. Now, fans didn't fall for it, and that's not review bombing at all. That's actually backlash, okay? And the minute the show got hit with low scores, Rotten Tomatoes wiped them like they were cleaning up a mess for a friend. Basically, Ironheart didn't earn better scores. It was just handed them. It was handed them once the studio realized that it couldn't survive on merit. Now, every single time a Marvel show gets bad reviews, they blame the audience. Okay, and it was the same thing with the Acolyte. They said that couldn't be review bombing and stuff. Instead, they insisted people just hated strong women or diverse casts. But when you actually read the reviews, they weren't mindless, trolling. You see, they were actually thoughtful, points and stuff, detailed, honest, and the same applies here. People who trashed Ironheart actually watched the thing. You see, they just didn't like it. And that's not at all sabotage right there. That's constructive feedback right there. But now the pattern is obvious. The Acolyte and Ironheart both received pushback, and the media wrote it all off as, racism or sexism. You see, nobody wants to admit the content is just weak. It's trash. Nobody wants to say the writing is shallow and the characters don't resonate. That would mean holding the MCU accountable for quality again, and they're not interested in that anymore, okay? So the whole machine exists to spin PR for Marvel Studios, not to review shows honestly. And the most predictable part is how fast they play the race card, okay? Now, Ironheart has a black female lead, so every negative opinion is labeled racist. Now, that's the script now. You see, if you think Ironheart is boring, you're a bigot, okay? If you miss stories like Armor Wars, you're against progress. And this is not criticism anymore. It's just more grandstanding at this point. Now, the MCU has stopped engaging with fans and started shaming them instead, okay? Now, Ironheart dropped to 32% audience score before launch, and Rotten Tomatoes stepped in to go ahead and save it. They wiped the board clean and locked it down until after the premiere, okay? And surprise, surprise, it jumps to 70% once the gate is closed. That's not at all organic right there. That's the net control and a big setup. And the press celebrated it. They acted like it was a win for fairness when it was just another way to protect the MCU from real world reactions. Okay. Now, when people actually say that Ironheart got review bombed, what they really mean is the audience didn't like it. That's it. Okay. The whole argument falls apart when you realize these same sites that gave the show 3 stars, okay, they didn't love it either. Okay. They just wrapped their complaints in fancy words, okay? Ironheart got called by the numbers, even by people defending it, okay? And that's what it is. Predictable, recycled, and hollow, okay? And then you get the IMDB and the panic sets in again. They're mad people can post negative reviews without filter. That's the problem, not the show itself. These people don't want honest feedback, okay? They want curated praise. Ironheart isn't supposed to be criticized and stuff. It's supposed to be worshipped, apparently. And that's how far the MCU has fallen down the demanding safe spaces on review sites, okay? And now we've also got media watchdogs complaining that Ironheart is being hijacked by trolls, but they don't define what that actually means, okay? If someone watches it and gives it a 1-star rating, is that trolling? Or are we not allowed to dislike any Marvel content anymore? Okay. Ironheart is not a victim of hate, okay? It's just a victim of his own mediocrity. Marvel pushed this show out after sitting on it for years. They knew what they had. That's why it got delayed and buried in a slow release window, okay? And even the critics contradict themselves, okay? They praise the cast but bash the story. So what are we left with? A show that looks good on a diversity checklist but doesn't deliver on substance. Ironheart isn't building anything, okay? It's just standing in for something better, okay? And audiences can feel that. The MCU used to be the gold standard, and now it's just a marketing campaign basically with capes, okay? And that's nothing surprising right there at all. Marvel tried to sell Ironheart on not storytelling. Riri Williams didn't earn her spot. She was handed it, okay? Her connection to Black Panther Wakanda Forever was shallow, and her solo series is even thinner. Now, when your show depends on constant Tony Stark references to stay afloat, I mean, you've already lost. Okay, Ironheart couldn't carry her own arc without leaning on old MCU pillars. That's not strength at all, okay? Simply put, that's just desperation. But the truth is simple. Ironheart wasn't made for fans, okay? It was made to hit a quota. That's why people are turning on it. Not because of race, not because of her sex, but because it's hollow, okay? The MCU used to stand for something exciting, all right? Now it's Ironheart, another show you expected to love without asking why. And the second you actually start pushing back, you're called fragile or toxic. It's basically a trap, not a conversation, okay? And every time someone actually goes ahead and criticizes Ironheart, the media responds like they've been attacked. That's how fragile this whole structure is, okay? That's how it's become. They don't believe in the show. They just need it to succeed so that way they can call it a win. But Ironheart doesn't win anything, okay? It doesn't move the culture. It doesn't expand the universe. It's just a filler right there. A placeholder for better content that got thrown out just to go ahead and make room for corporate mandates, okay? If people don't like Ironheart, well, the solution isn't censorship. It should be better writing. But that takes effort, apparently, and Marvel doesn't seem interested anymore. They think the MCU brand is enough. Well, it's not. Simply proves that Ironheart proves it. The character might look cool on the poster, but once you hit play, there's nothing underneath. No tension, no growth, just recycled lines and hollow fan service, okay? And yet there's shock that it's not working. Marvel spent years training its audience to expect something better, okay? And now they're surprised that when we don't clap for every drop of content, well, Ironheart didn't deserve a free pass, okay? And the MCU doesn't get the guilt fans to pretending it did. Now, if Ironheart was strong, it wouldn't need this much protection. But it's not. So the media goes on offense, basically. So, yeah. Ironheart is exactly what happens when studios stop listening, okay? It's just a symptom of a franchise on autopilot. The MCU still has big names and recognizable branding, but shows like this drain that power fast, okay? Audiences remember when Marvel cared, okay? They don't remember when story came first. Ironheart is the opposite of that, and that's why people are done pretending otherwise, okay? So let me know your thoughts with this in the comments below. Be sure to smash that like button, share the video far wide across social media, subscribe to the channel, join me on Discord. The link is in the description below, and I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, peace.